Okay. Another question I would like for you to answer is this. Let's assume that Moses was a Caucasoid. Okay. And I believe from my research, Moses is a fictional character that's plagiarized off of the Pharaoh Thutmose III. But let's just deal with biblical genealogy here and religious ideology. If black people was on the planet first, which we know this to be a fact, and Caucasoid entities have been on this planet for no more than 4,500 to 6,000 years, right? Why did God never speak to us? Why did God watch us live on this planet for millions of years? Watch us navigate this world for millions of years. They found Egyptians in the Grand Canyons. They found Egyptians in Japan. They found Egyptians all around the world, not just in Africa. Egypt was a global empire. Black people were the first people to circumnavigate and civilize this planet. And all of our history is being hidden. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because why did God wait until the white man or the Caucasoid man stepped foot allegedly into Africa to decide he wanted to speak to them as his chosen people? Because the reason I'm having an issue with this doctrine is not only does it promote pedophilia, because it does. The Torah says that you can molest. I'll pull a verse up if you need to see it. The Torah says that you can molest a little girl, and it doesn't matter as long as she's 3 years. I'm about to pull it up right now. So not only does the Torah promote pedophilia, it promotes slavery. But the real question is, if what made God decide he want to talk to Caucasians or Caucasoids and ignore black people for millions of years? Straight up. And if we know that black people were here first, if we were to actually acknowledge the Adam and Eve story, the Adam and Eve will be black by default, which means all of the descendants of Adam and Eve would be black by default. And the reason that this is important is because the Bible is based off astrology, as I stated. The 12 tribes of Israel are nothing more than the 12 zodiac signs. For example, the tribe of Judah, which is the lion, is nothing more than the Leo constellation. This is why Jesus told his disciples, when they get to a certain location, they'll see a man bearing a pitcher of water, because the pitcher of water is the age of Aquarius that we're going into as we're leaving the age of Pisces. So all of these monotheistic religions are actually based off astrology, and they're nothing more than occult platforms that Freemasons use to communicate with each other. And the reason I brought that up is because you brought up the definition of Abraham, who is the father, who Moses is a descendant of. Abraham, by definition, means Abram. That's how you the original spelling of Abraham is Abram, A-B-R-A-M. Ab means before, and then R-A-M is Ram, which means the zodiac sequence before the constellation of Aries, because Moses represents the age of Aries. This is why when you look at any statue of Moses from antiquity, he has horns like a ram, because the Bible is just based off astrology, and the Torah is based off astrology. These are not actual events that actually took place. Now, as we continue to as I continue to go upon some points that you made, or speak upon some points that you made, also I wanted to talk about the commandments in Mount Sinai, right? Because Sinai by definition just means heat and high point of the sun. And we have to ask ourselves, in dealing with reality, Moses, especially if he was white or Caucasoid, if Moses was a Caucasoid, it's no way in hell he went up at the highest point of that mountain underneath the sun and came down without sunburn. Let alone was he strong enough to carry some giant stone tablets. That's not physically possible. It's not logically possible. Just like the story of Noah's Ark. If we by definition deal with the story of Noah's Ark, and we deal with it from a realistic point of view, all of them animals would have started to fight and kill each other out of hunger. Also, they said there were penguins on Noah's Ark. So we have to ask ourselves, how the hell did animals that are not native to Africa get on an ark, survive in an environment that it is impossible for them to survive in, and then end up on other continents that the ark never even went to. In the story of Noah's Ark is stolen from the Egyptian story, Nu Ankh, which is a spiritual boat that my ancestors said you get on when you righteous, and it takes you into the realm of Duat, which is the spiritual realm. Now, continuing to go down, right? I want to talk about Exodus again, because the Exodus is very important to Jewish tradition, especially when we're dealing with you guys' holidays, specifically the first holiday in the month of Nisan, which is March, via the Passover. Now, according to biblical rhetoric, the Passover took place when God slaughtered, I believe it was rams, and if it wasn't rams, I'm gonna just say animals. God slaughtered animals, sprinkled their blood on specific doorsteps so that he could differentiate the Hebrews from the Egyptians allegedly, and God passed over Egypt and liberated the Hebrews from Egypt. That story, be it that it took place in March, once again is allegorical. And the Passover is just symbolic to the sun passing over the equinox as it comes from the southern hemisphere back into the northern hemisphere. So what's happening is astrological allegories are being taken as factual events, or they're being misinterpreted as factual events that never happened. Now, when we continue to go down this, as I continue to go down this list of talking points, and I think I got like 5 left. Once again, I want to come back to the Temple of Ramesses, right? Because you brought up Egypt. There's no way that Caucasoids were enslaved by, I'm assuming, and I have to ask you really quick, and you can answer this yes or no. If you believe that Hebrews were enslaved in Egypt, do you believe that the Egyptians who enslaved them were Negroid like me or Caucasoid like people that are not me?
I think neither. I showed you the hieroglyphics. So I believe they were dark, but not necessarily like Western African dark, but Northern African dark.
Okay, now I want to bring this up. Right? Yeah. Because my ancestors left clear, they didn't leave no room for misunderstanding about who they were. Okay? They didn't leave no room for misunderstanding. You can clearly see black people on this wall. Black, black, black. Let's go to another wall. Black, another wall. Black. Okay? Now we come here with the Greeks. You see what they doing, what them Caucasoids doing, but you also see they not black. So you see where homosexuality and pedophilia come from. But let me keep going. Black. But wait, let me keep black. Okay? Now there's another thing you brought up, right? You brought up the Hyksos. Now the Hyksos are invaders to Egypt. And as you can see, you see the pharaohs right here fighting the Hyksos. This is a black man or a Negroid fighting Caucasoids. So let's just be clear on that. The Egyptians have not only genetically been proven to be African, just like they've been genetically proven to be vegan, but they historically let us know that they were black. So the question is, how did black people enslave a bunch of Caucasoids and teach them to build a temple that was already there? Because if we taught y'all how to build pyramids, you would have built them for yourself. That's just period. There is no pyramids. There is no extravagant monuments in Israel that could even hold a candle to what Africans built, not just in Egypt, but all around the world. And another thing I want to bring up is this image right here. Okay? Now this image is called Smiting of the Enemy by Pharaoh Seti. Now this image also, this is a painting from the pyramids. You see what color my ancestors said the invaders were. So here's my thing. What Judaism is attempting to do is it's attempting to inject itself into black history from a fictitious point of victimization that never happened. You were not slaves in Egypt. You were invaders. And if I'm lying, then prove to me that you are who you say you are, and that the people in Egypt today are who they say they are. You cannot do that, and the Arabs cannot do that, because you were not victims of Egypt. You were invaders and destroyers of Egypt. Now, I want to go here, okay? If you look at these pyramids, right? These pyramids have water damage and sand damage on the south side of these pyramids. And 250, listen to the word, 250 genealogists have confirmed that these pyramids are no less than 30,000 years old. So that means not only the pyramids, but the temple of Osiris has been confirmed, and the temple of Ramesses has been confirmed, the temple of Isis has been confirmed, and all of them. If the temple of Ramesses was built at least 50,000 years ago, how did we enslave y'all for y'all to build it 6,000 years ago when we built it allegedly before we even knew you? So that's a lie. It never happened. Now, as I continue to come down, right, and hit two more of your talking points.